Okay, so Nick, we got a great question from a listener earlier this week, and it was to name our best 17 just based off grand final performances. So not whole seasons guys had, not careers, not final series, just on the day, who was the best. So we'll start at fullback. We wanted to keep it NRL era only, but I'll throw to you for that. So I want to give an honorable mention to Robbie O'Davis, 97. The first grand final I can remember as a kid, really watching and really being into. My formative years, I'll always think that try he scored carrying like 5 Manly players over the line with him, fantastic. But who have you gone?
Well, there's the first one that he scores with like the fancy little put down and the forward roll and that. I was like, Robbie O is so cool. So only a couple of fullbacks have won man of the match in the NRL era. Billy Slater got 2 of them, one in 2009, one in 2017. And as great a player as he was, I didn't think he was the best player on the field either time. Dylan Edwards won it in 2022, thoroughly deserved. But I went with Darren Lockyer in 2000 just because I happened to watch a replay of that game earlier this week and was quite struck by just how many chances he created. So that was a lower scoring grand final, a bit of a dour one. Finished up 14-6 to the Broncos. But he created enough chances for them to win that game 10 times over. And I seriously thought, in watching that game, about just picking Luke Phillips.
Oh, Luke Phillips
who played fullback for the Roosters that day and is maybe the best game anyone has ever played in a losing grand final. Without Luke Phillips.
In a pretty forgettable grand final too, so no one talks about it.
Mate, without him, Brisbane would have won by 40.
All right. No wingers ever won the Clive Churchill medal, but I went with the guy who should have won in 2010 and Jason Nightingale, and a guy that was such an important part of the Penrith dynasty but never got the big award on the big day. Brian To'o in 2022 when he ran for 300 metres.
The Nightingale one is very close to your heart. You return to that one a lot.
Love Jamie Soward, love Darius Boyd, both great, but Nightingale was so good that day.
He was awesome. I knew you'd pick Nightingale, so I've picked Brian To'o twice. I've got Brian To'o in 2022, and I've also got him in 2021, where he had over 200 metres and just did all the Brian To'o stuff and proposed to his girlfriend at full time. You won't believe it, she said yes.
Good work. Bizarre, what a guy. All right, in the centres, I've gone with Stephen Crichton in 2023, and I went with Latrell Mitchell in 2019. Throws the key pass for that try that broke the game open against Canberra late on.
Centre was probably the hardest one.
So you've gone outside the box.
Yeah, I've cheated, which is nice. So I've gone Critter in 2023. Absolutely. I needed to have Critter in there just to represent the great try scoring run that he had in those 3 grand finals. 2023 is probably the best game that he played in those grand finals. Cleary, of course, we'll talk about him later. Everyone knows how good he was. But Crichton rode shotgun in that, and he's the other one who comes up with some really nice touches when it really, really counted. And then the other one, Greg Inglis played 5'8" in 2007.
Yep.
But I don't care. I'm picking him in the centres.
I considered
those 2 tries were unreal, and he put up the mad torpy bomb.
Yeah, he did.
That sent Brett Stewart to the land of wind and ghosts.
It did.
So I want a GI, so I'm having him.
Great segue because I put GI at 5'8", but you've gone with...
I went with Luke Keary.
He had a great game that night, and especially with everything around Cronk that day, he really had to step up. And step up.
That first 20 minutes that he plays, where he plays a hand in all 3 Roosters tries, just fantastic. Really, like you said, took control without Cronk, but also came up with the key playmaking touches when required. Then kicked the field goal late as well. That game was sewn up after about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's because Luke Keary got the needle and thread out, mate.
He sure did.
Sewed it up.
Halfback, I went Nathan Cleary in 2023. If anyone's got an alternative answer, I'd love to hear it.
Okay, so I've got Cleary in 23 as well.
But
an honourable mention to Cooper Cronk in 2012.
Sure.
Thought, you go back and watch that game. It's different to Cleary. Cleary goes supernova for 20 minutes. Cronk, from minute 1 to minute 80, nothing happened on that field without him making it happen. When he wanted the game to speed up, it sped up. When he wanted it to slow down, it would slow down. His kicking game was exemplary, totally kicked Ben Barber out of the match, or restricted his impact on the match as best he could, and came up with 2 out of the 3 assists for 2 out of the 3 tries that Melbourne scored. Just as comprehensive and complete a performance in a big game from a halfback as I've ever seen. But Cleary gets
it. in the front row, I went with Andrew Fafita in 2016. There are reasons that people know about that he didn't get the Clive Churchill medal on the day, but he was the best player on the field that day.
He's also one of my props.
And alongside him, I went with Willie Mason in 2004. The Dogs of War, arguably the best forward pack of all time. Mason got the Clive that day in that big win over the Roosters.
I hate it when people call it the Clive.
Sorry.
I can't stand it. I don't know why.
Who have you gone with?
I've gone with George Burgess up front. It's a popular one for you and I. that
He's on my bench.
As good as Sam was in 2014, I maintain that George was the
Mate,
better
I still
player
can't.
and that try that he scored shut the door on Canterbury. Sam was great, no doubting it, but I think George was better. I thought it then, I think it now. Is it because I was on him at 37-1? Hard to say. Impossible to know.
I still think of him every time I hear the song Bangarang by Skrillex, because that's the song they played when he crashed over to score that try that broke the game open. Hooker,
First name on the list.
Luke Prittis, 2003, the best a player has ever played in a grand final.
I love you, Luke Prittis.
Yeah, the best. All right, back row. Craig Fitzgibbon in 02 I went with. He won the Clive Churchill medal, and a guy that I thought should have won it in 01 when Joey did, and that's Ben Kennedy.
Kennedy in 01 is one of those ones that even the footballers at the time talk about. It should have been him. Joey tells a great story about him wearing the medal on Mad Monday and everyone coming up to him and saying, when are you going to give that to BK? So I've got BK for sure as well. I didn't go Fitzgibbon. I went another back rower that won man of the match. I went Glenn Stewart from 2011.
2011.
Not a grand final, I think, that lives on in a lot of people's minds, except me and Scott Bailey. Scott, we'll talk about it later. But Stewart comes up with 2 try assists. There's a great flick pass to Will Hopewadi in the second half. And I guess it's not a try assist in the first half, but he puts in a grubber for Michael Robertson on his own 20 on the opposite side of the field to where he usually played. And that got Manly down the other end and they end up scoring through Daly Cherry Evans. And that's the thing that gave them the big push around halftime. The 2 biggest plays of the match. And Gifty came up with them.
My lock is Sam Burgess, 2014. The fractured cheekbone, all that stuff. I think I'd be kicked out of the South Sydney Fan Club if I didn't have
You could never show your face in the borough again.
Absolutely not.
I knew you were going to pick Burgess,
of course,
right? And I didn't pick him, not because I didn't think it was the best. I just wanted to go someone else so we could talk about it. I think Jason Taumalolo in 2015
had a blinder.
Is right up there. I think there's a couple of guys who could, like Thurston gets the medal, but let's not kid ourselves. He probably shouldn't have. I think there's a couple of guys that could have put their names forward. I think Jake Granville's right up there. I think James Tarmo is right up there as well. But I think Taumalolo was the most impactful forward on the field through the 80 minutes that night. You're never going to have to convince me to pick Taumalolo in anything.
Of course,
another one of my favorites. But I've actually gone way back to a guy that also didn't win the medal. I've gone to Tawira Nikau in 99.
Yeah,
wow. Man, yeah.
There you go.
With the mullet and the harkers afterwards and the mana and the energy. And
great stuff.
Melbourne really needed something, and he was the guy that they looked to. He was the guy that did it for him.
We're trying to build an actual team that could function. So the 14 is a guy that could be our 14. Jake Granville was the last name out of my list. He was great in 15. He would have been my vote for Clive Churchill medal, but I've gone with your friend of mine, Sean Berrig in 06.
Yes.
Could play any position on the field. Bro. Like if he played today, he'd be $1 million player. He could do so many things at an elite level. And in 06, he was just all over that game.
Sensational. Like attacking at hooker and doing a great job of it, defending at center, marking up on Greg Inglis. Yeah. This is another grand final that I've watched in full this week. And like the attack stuff's great. I forgot what a great job he did on GI. He's just cutting him down. It's Josh Morris-esque.
Yeah.
You know?
Isn't it just?
So Sean, I'll find a place for Sean Berrig in any team, anytime, anywhere. So he was always going to make it for me.
And my 3 bench forwards, 2 of them we already mentioned, Jason Taumalolo and George Burgess. But I've also gone with Luke Lewis, who did win the Clive Churchill in 2016. He still had a great game.
Staunchly pro Luke Lewis at all costs and at all times.
So who are your 3 bench forwards?
Well, I wanted to try and get guys from as many different grand finals as possible. So my first bench prop is, maybe you don't think of him as a grand final hero, but Sam Moa in 2013.
Had a great game.
And the Roosters fans that know what I'm talking about, they know exactly what I'm talking about. He only has, I think, a little bit over 100 meters. You've got to watch the game to see his impact. But he physically imposes himself in the middle of the field and stands up to a Manly pack that was incredibly tough. And he's the reason that game is able to turn physically. So Sam Moa of the streets will never, ever forget. My other guy is Nelson Asofa Solomona in 2020. Another guy who should have won the Clive Churchill medal. Was it because I was on him at 45-1? Hard to say again. But they were able to get the jump on the Panthers because of their physicality, because of their aggression. And there is no one more physical and no one more aggressive than someone like Asofa Solomona. And there were just little things he did that really came to the fore. For the Cameron Smith try, it's off a big Asofa Solomona run. Classic one near the line where he skittles 4 blokes and plays the ball so quickly there's nothing anyone can do about it. I always thought it's one of the best games that he ever played and a real showcase of what made him unique. And then the last guy on my bench is Liam Martin. The Clive Churchill medal winner last year. Bit of a Dow grand final, maybe not one that we'll return to a lot, but scored the key try and then set up the premiership ceiling try for Alamotti by jumping over the top of Xavier Coates, who has like 15 centimeters on him, mate. Like
Hard to do.
Liam Martin, a big game player because he makes big plays.
That's right.
You know?
All right. 2 fantastic teams and a great question. Let us know if we forgot anyone.